Rain lashed against the precinct window, each drop a tiny hammer against the glass, mimicking the pounding in my head. The call had come in an hour ago. Stafford Wright, my oldest friend, was dead. Murdered. The world had tilted on its axis, and I, Detective Malone, was tasked with setting it right. The crime scene was a familiar place, Stafford's lavish study, a room where we'd spent countless nights debating philosophy over aged whiskey. Now, it was a tableau of chaos, books pulled from shelves, papers scattered, a single crystal glass shattered on the floor. And Stafford, slumped in his favorite leather armchair, a place of comfort turned into his final resting place. The official cause was a single, precise wound. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong. This was personal. My gut twisted. Who could hate Stafford enough to do this? He was the most generous man I knew, a philanthropist, a mentor to many. As I scanned the room, my gaze landed on a framed photo on his desk. It was the three of us. Me, Stafford, and Isabella. We were kids, grinning, immortalized in a sun-drenched memory from a long-lost summer. A wave of nostalgia, sharp and painful. Was said over me. Isabella. I hadn't seen her in years, not since she left the city after a bitter falling out with Stafford. I had to find her. She needed to know. Finding Isabella wasn't hard. She was an artist. Her gallery a quiet sanctuary of color and light amidst the city's gray. When I walked in, she was standing before a large, unfinished canvas, her bike to me. She turned, and for a moment, the years melted away. Her eyes, the same deep, expressive pools I remembered, widened in surprise, then clouded with a question. When I told her about Stafford, the color drained from her face. The paintbrush slipped from her fingers, clattering onto the floor. She crumpled into a nearby chair, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. In that moment, all I wanted to do was protect her from this ugliness, to shield her from the pain. We talked for hours, reminiscing about Stafford, sharing stories that made us laugh through the tears. It felt like no time had passed at all. I left her gallery that day with a renewed connection and a heavy heart, promising to keep her updated. The investigation was a labyrinth of dead ends. Stafford's business dealings were clean, his personal life seemingly without blemish. I interviewed dozens of people, colleagues, rivals, acquaintances, and they all said the same thing. Stafford Wright was a saint. It didn't add up. Killers always leave a trace, a shadow, a ripple in the fabric of the victim's life. But Stafford's was like a placid lake. Frustration gnawed at me. The pressure from my superiors was mounting. The media was having a field day, and all I had were questions. During those long, grueling weeks, Isabella became my anchor. We'd meet for coffee, take long walks in the park, finding solace in each other's company. We talked about everything and nothing, our dreams, our regrets, the gaping hole Stafford had left in our lives. I saw the vibrant, passionate woman she had become, and I found myself falling for her, hard and fast. It was a dizzying, terrifying feeling. It felt like a betrayal of Stafford's memory, yet it also felt like the only thing that made sense in a world turned upside down. One rainy evening, standing under the awning of a closed bookshop, she looked up at me, her face illuminated by the streetlights, and I kissed her. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated hope, a flicker of light in the overwhelming darkness. I started spending my off hours at her studio. It was my escape. I'd watch her paint, mesmerized by the way she translated emotion onto canvas. Her latest project was a portrait of Stafford. It was hauntingly beautiful, capturing his kindness, his intelligence, his very essence. She said it was her way of saying goodbye. One night, while she was in the other room making tea, I wandered over to her desk. A small, leather-bound journal was lying open. I knew I shouldn't, but a detective's curiosity is a powerful, damning thing. My eyes scanned the page. It was her handwriting, elegant and flowing. The words were about Stafford, but they weren't words of grief. They were words of rage. She wrote about a betrayal, about a secret he held over her, something that had ruined her. A cold dread seeped into my bones. I flipped back a few pages. More entries, darker and more detailed. She wrote about planning, about justice, about a final meeting. My blood ran cold. I looked around the studio, my detective's eyes now seeing things they had been blind to before. On a shelf, tucked behind a row of paint cans, was a small, ornate box. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside, nestled on a bed of velvet, was a letter opener. A beautiful, silver letter opener with an intricately carved handle. The tip was impossibly sharp. It matched the description of the murder weapon, the one the ME said was unique, something we hadn't been able to trace. The handle. The carving was a specific motif, a rare floral design. My eyes darted to the unfinished portrait of Stafford. In the background, subtly woven into the shadows, was the exact same floral pattern. It was her signature. Isabella walked back in, a warm smile on her face, 2 steaming mugs in her hands. Her smile faltered when she saw my face, saw the open journal, the box in my hands. The truth hung in the air between us, heavy and suffocating. "Malone," she whispered, her voice barely audible. All the warmth, the love, the hope I had felt, it all curdled into ash. The woman I loved, the woman who had been my refuge, was the monster I had been hunting. She didn't deny it. As I read her rights, the words tasted like poison in my mouth. Her confession came out in a torrent of pain and anger. Stafford hadn't been a saint. He had used her, manipulated her art and her trust for his own gain. A dark secret he had held over her for years. He had threatened to destroy her, and she had snapped. The drive to the station was the longest of my life. She sat in the back, silent, a single tear tracing a path down her cheek. I looked at her in the rearview mirror, and I didn't see a monster. I saw the girl from the sun-drenched photograph, the woman I had fallen in love with, broken by a world that was far crueler than I had ever imagined. I had found Stafford's killer. I had closed the case, but in the process, I had lost everything. The rain had stopped, but the storm inside me was just beginning. I had done my duty, but the cost was a piece of my own soul, left behind in that silent, echoing art studio.